All right, folks, look, Donald Trump is terrified of this whole Epstein story. He is running scared, and you can tell from the fact that he's not answering questions from reporters. He's running away from DC. He's ranting and raving on social media about the story and other random topics. He just seems completely erratic. I think this story has really rocked him and his regime to its core, and he really didn't do himself any favors today when he ranted about the Epstein story and made some stunning announcements about it on social media today, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But before I do any of that, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about the story. As a reminder, I have the flu right now, so I apologize for my congested voice, my hoarse voice, but I will say you folks have been so supportive during my sickness and the fact that I haven't been able to post as many videos as I'd like and talk to you as much as I'd like. And so the fact that you're still here supporting and watching and subscribing, that really means the world. And so, I appreciate it a lot. I just wanted to say that before we dive in. But without further ado, let's start here with one of the first statements that Trump made today about the Epstein story. It was at 9:30 this morning, so he woke up angry. He said the Democrats are doing everything in their withering power to push the Epstein hoax again. And immediately I noticed that he's calling it a hoax again, which is so offensive to the Epstein victims who certainly didn't experience a hoax. What they experienced was very real. And Donald Trump writing it off as a hoax that's pushed by the Democrats is disgusting. I mean, can you imagine how evil you have to be to think that, victims wanting justice is a hoax? It's just gross. Despite the DOJ releasing 50,000 pages of documents in order to deflect from all of their bad policies and losses, especially the shutdown embarrassment where their party is in total disarray and has no idea what to do, some weak Republicans have fallen into their clutches because they are soft and foolish. Epstein was a Democrat, and he is the Democrats' problem, not the Republicans' problem. Ask Bill Clinton, Reid Hoffman, and Larry Summers about Epstein. They know all about him. Don't waste your time with Trump. I have a country to run. Once again, speaking in the third person for some reason. But you can see that he started attacking his fellow Republicans, basically telling them to stop talking about the story because he doesn't want the Republicans to be on it, in on it. He doesn't want it getting more media attention. And again, I just want to circle back to the point of how evil do you have to be? You have Epstein victims basically on a weekly basis demanding that these files be released, demanding that Trump and the federal government be transparent about this story. And instead of engaging with that and listening to them and their experiences and hearing them, Donald Trump is instead insulting Democrats, even insulting Republicans who want transparency here, and saying it's a hoax. It's just absolutely disgusting. And then, of course, he's deflecting blame onto other people. These Democrats, when, Donald Trump is the only one who was best friends with Epstein. He has all the photos and videos and birthday cards with Epstein. He has all these emails and text messages with Epstein. I mean, give me a break. This guy's such a piece of trash. Here's another one. He continued the rage at 10:35 a.m. saying, now that the Democrats are using the Epstein hoax, calling it a hoax again, involving Democrats, not Republicans, to try and deflect from their disastrous shutdown and all of their failures, I'll be asking Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice, together with our great patriots at the FBI, to investigate Jeffrey Epstein's involvement and relationship with Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Reid Hoffman, JP Morgan Chase, and many other people and institutions to determine what was going on with them and him. This is another Russia scam, with all arrows pointing to the Democrats. Records show that these men and many others spent large portions of their life with Epstein and on his island. Stay tuned. And of course, Donald Trump doesn't provide any of these records because they don't exist, but regardless, and if they do exist, by the way, I want to add an asterisk here. If they do exist, hold them accountable. That's the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. If a high-ranking Democrat was hanging out with Epstein on his island and doing bad things, arrest him, throw away the keys, couldn't care less. But when it comes to the Republicans, Donald Trump, they just give him a free pass, even though, according to Epstein himself, Donald Trump knew about the girls. But this is it's a distraction technique. This is what Trump is doing. He's trying to divert blame, distract people away from him, and put the onus on others, saying, it's Bill Clinton, Larry Summers, Hoffman, and JP Morgan Chase. These are the real bad guys. These are the real guys who have done something wrong with Epstein, completely ignoring him, his role in enabling what Epstein did, his participation, perhaps, again, alleged, with what Epstein did, right? I mean, it's classic Trump. It's classic Trump. Move the blame to somebody else. That's what he does all the time. That's what he's doing right now. And I don't know how he can possibly even attempt this and have people fall for it. I mean, I know the MAGA crowd will, but for any like independent or person whose IQ is not room temperature, it's not going to work. And it's already not working, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But like, how can you look at an email like this with Epstein and think that Donald Trump wasn't doing something bad in connection with him? An anonymous person wrote back in 2018, "It will all blow over. This is too Epstein. They're really just trying to take down Trump and doing whatever they can to do that." And Epstein responded by saying, "Yes, thanks. It's wild because I'm the one able to take him down." What did Epstein mean by that? How is he the one to be able to take Donald Trump down? What does he know that he could use to take Donald Trump down? And Donald Trump wants you to believe that he had no relationship and that he wasn't connected at all, and he's never done anything wrong in connection to Epstein, but Epstein's the one saying he could take Donald Trump down. It's just all very weird. And on that point in particular, with Donald Trump's clear involvement in this, I want you to hear from Senator Chris Murphy, who went on the record with his strongest criticism yet of Donald Trump and this whole Epstein story. And he's saying what needs to be said, that Donald Trump appears to be compromised and he appears to be much more involved than people previously knew. Take a look.
Moment where these files and the fullest truth that we have available to us is going to be made public. And it is clearly the biggest scandal in presidential history. And he wouldn't be acting this way if he wasn't so deeply worried about what sits in those files. What we've already seen is immensely incriminating. Clearly, Donald Trump was at the center of a child sex ring. That is heartbreaking that the president of the United States was involved in that kind of gross, craven immorality, and it stands to reason that he wouldn't be fighting so hard to spin against this story or bullying Republicans in the House to prevent the release of these files if there wasn't something especially and specifically incriminating in that information. Now, I think the scandal in and of itself could bring him down, but we also do have to contextualize it. Because what Donald Trump is all about is protecting the rich and powerful and stealing from normal people, regular middle class and poor folks in order to enrich the rich and powerful. And this is very much part of that story. Yes, I am sure that there are both Republicans and Democrats named in those files. There are powerful people on both sides of the aisle. But what Trump is all about is, not really playing a game based on politics, but playing a game based on wealth and influence. If you have wealth and influence, Donald Trump is going to protect you. And that is consistent through everything he has done during the first 9 months of this administration.
So, as I understand it...
Yeah, I mean, that was really well said. And I'm glad. It's time that we take off the gloves and stop kind of dancing around what I think we know to be true with Donald Trump, right? As Chris Murphy said, it's clearly the biggest scandal in presidential history. He wouldn't be acting this way if he wasn't so deeply worried about what sits in those files. What we've seen is already incriminating. Donald Trump was at the center of this all. I think we just have to start saying that. We have to take off the gloves and stop dancing around it out of respect or decency. I don't know what the reason is, but let's stop that. Let's stop that, and let's start telling like it is, calling balls and strikes about Donald Trump's relationship with Epstein. And the final thing I do want to highlight here is the fact that Donald Trump is running away from D.C. He's running away from the press. Today, Friday, he has nothing on his schedule. He's flying to Florida to party with his billionaire friends once again for perhaps the third week in a row, I believe, but he has nothing else on his schedule. You can see nothing, no reporters, no nothing. And on Saturday, he has nothing scheduled either. The entire weekend, he has nothing scheduled. Donald Trump's tactic here is hopefully he can run away from the press for a very long time and that they forget. But they're not going to forget, I hope at least, that the first question a journalist is able to ask Donald Trump the next time he talks to reporters is, hey, what about these emails? So look, anyway, I just had to show you Donald Trump's little meltdown on social media today and a couple of other things, but I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe down below, drop a like on the video, comment, let me know what you think about this story. And as I always say, I greatly appreciate you, and I hope you have an amazing rest of your day.